what we do as Lufthansa Consulting is misunderstood a bit. We're a boutique. Okay, it's recorded, right? Yeah. So we're expensive. We're a boutique consultancy. We only have 120 consultants. And we advise strategically Lufthansa as a group. Actually, the airline is just one player. Amazingly enough, I discovered joining Lufthansa Consulting 2 years ago that actually Lufthansa is not that big. There's so many other players. There are 500 companies in the group. Literally 500. So we advise other airlines. Of course, we don't advise Air France or BA, but we advise other airlines around the world, lots of them. We advise airports, governments, civil aviation authorities, whatever it has to do either with M&A. Actually, an airline that was here a while ago, we're with them with an M&A. We are the advisors also of McKinsey when it comes to M&A stuff. So yeah. These are the things that we do, and a lot more. We have 3,500 projects. We have teams all over the world. We're based in Frankfurt, and yeah, I think it's just amazing the incredible things that we do. I'm just amazed. I really love it. So I'm now gonna turn to my fellow panel members, and I will ask the three of you, if possible, please to introduce yourself just a bit, because people might not be familiar with you, considering that William didn't receive an award. So, no, you did.
I did, yeah.
Okay, great. So, but still, people might not know you.
Yeah. So shall I start?
Yes, please. Yes,
so, William Ast, I'm the Regional Vice President Sales for Embraer Commercial Aviation, so covering most part of Europe, including Greece. So it's a real pleasure to be here again in Costas' house. And yeah, working for Embraer, which is the third aircraft manufacturer after Boeing and Airbus, leader in the up to 150 seats jet market.
Ioanna, you're a very well-known personality in Greece, but nonetheless.
I'm Ioanna Papadopoulou. I'm the Director for Communications and Marketing at Athens International Airport since October 2009. So we have been through, through the Greek macroeconomic crisis and then through the big disruption, which was COVID. So we had all our ups and downs, but I have to say that right now, just after COVID, we have been growing very fast. So Athens International Airport now is developing at a rate of a plus 25% versus pre-pandemic levels in 2024, when almost all metropolitan airports in Europe, they were striving to get to the pre-pandemic levels. I think we were number one by the end of 2024. But of course, these rates of growth, they bring along many, many challenges. So now our let's say our biggest challenge is our airport expansion project, because we have lots of demand, we need to grow, we need somehow to meet capacity and demand. And this project will start after Easter with minor works. Multi-story parking is one of them, Northwest Apron is another, and then the full bulk of the airport expansion plan will start in 2026 in order to accommodate by 2032 40 million annual passengers. So this is where, at this stage, in 2024 we had 31.9 million annual passengers. So we are right there, trying to communicate to the world that we are growing and trying to get things right, obviously, because this is a big challenge.
Congratulations.
Thank you to all the team.
And Philipp?
I'm Philipp Ahrens. I'm from Vienna Airport, responsible for all the commercial, retail and F&B business there. I've been previously 25 years with Munich Airport, doing many different other things in the airport world, and that's the lovely thing about it, that you can actually have a look at so many different departments and so many different things you can actually work at. So that's been great, and I'm with Vienna now for 4.5 years, and this is really exciting. Similar size, 31.7 million guests we had last year, so that was a new record number for us in Vienna. And that already shows that growth number. That was something we actually started before the pandemic, the terminal extension project as well, because we simply cannot accommodate the masses of our traveling guests at the airport. This was due to open in 2027, and to my delight, focusing on retail and F&B, because that offer is very, very limited in Vienna for the time being, and so we'll have another 10,000 square meters of retail F&B to come, which is a very exciting times for me and my team at the moment, because obviously renting that out is quite a challenge, especially we were looking at some diversification on also especially on the retail, to not only have premium retail but also luxury. And as you know, the situation in the world where, as I used to say in the past, luxury always works. These days it's a bit more challenging, let's put it that way,
Really?
especially in the airport world. So exciting times to come. And I'm delighted to be here. As I said earlier, Julian is sending his regards. And I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. I was wondering if we can start with you, but it's the same question for every one of you, which is about the declaration that you signed. It contains several bullet points. However, what does this mean for you as an organization? And if you could give us an example, a concrete example of one of those things that is being mentioned, how this reflects your everyday work.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think signing this declaration came to us a bit as an evidence, because it's not going to sound very humble what I'm going to say, but we didn't wait for this declaration to start our journey on all the bullet points that are there, right? And you mentioned the buzzword being sustainability, and I think that's probably one of the biggest items there. We are lucky enough to have designed the most efficient jet on the market today, so that's the lowest emissions per se. If you look also on a company standpoint, I mean, you have the three pillars: scope 1 and 2 and 3. Scope 1 and 2, we are aiming for carbon neutral operation in 2040, and we are already on a path of like carbon neutral growth since 2022. So that means like 100% renewable energy by 2040. In Brazil and in Portugal, we are already achieving this target since last year. We are very blessed that in Brazil, for example, electricity comes a lot from hydropower energy. So I mean, it's very clean and available in mass. So yeah, it's not some. We just had the luck that this was available in the country. And this represents like 80% of our energy consumption worldwide. So that's huge, right? And then on scope 3, of course, I mean, this is the product that we deliver to our customers.
That's scope 3 for you.
Yes.
Your product, okay.
So we brought an improvement of 2.5% fuel burn on our newest generation aircraft last year, which was announced in Farnborough. We are already like 50% SAF compatible, already made the test flights, etc. for 100% compatibility that we are aiming for in 2040 as well. And yes, I think I could mention also other pillars like diversity, inclusion, or societal impact. Diversity, inclusion, I mean, good number to keep in mind that we got at least 50% of new hires in entry-level positions, being women, black people, or disabled people. So I mean, to show like how far we went to our journey. But then in terms of women and directors or VP levels, we have a target of 20%. We're not there yet. We keep pushing with a mentoring program, etc. I mean, also to encourage women in the industry to raise their hands, because sometimes they're too humble to say that they're capable, and to raise their voice that they wanna take more. Mm-hmm. And on the societal impact, two fronts. We have the Embraer schools, where we bring people, students from low-income families with, let's say, full-time education. Everything is covered by Embraer. I mean, we've got already more than 5,000 students passing for this program. And for, let's say, I wouldn't say our own needs, but we have also an engineering program which graduated already almost 2,000 students, which fuels our engineering department. So 95% of those students doing this master degree in aeronautical engineering enters Embraer. So I mean that's in essence like yeah.
So it's not just the product itself, but
It's not just the product itself. I mean, and I think I relate to Mehmet's words earlier. I mean, it's a journey. And this cannot oppose us. It's like safety. I mean, we should all push in the same direction, and to ensure that we keep our industry accessible to everyone. And I think it starts like being efficient and raising our awareness and showing to people the great stuff that we're doing.
Ioanna, I guess as an airport you have some activities as well, right?
Absolutely, yes. If I am to focus on sustainability, then probably you know it, or the Greeks here know about our journey towards Route 2025, as we call it, which is our announcement for the implementation or for net zero carbon emissions by 2025. This was a journey that we started back in December 2019. We had announced this big project. We wanted to be self-producers and self-consumers of clean energy through photovoltaic parks, through solar parks by 2025. It seems that now we are getting there. In the beginning it seemed to be a very ambitious plan. And there was also COVID in between.
Yeah, true.
But this investment it was one of the very few that never stopped. So now we are in a position to say that yes, by October 2025, we will be in a position to cover our energy needs 100% by clean energy. And this is very important because, as you know, aviation has set the target for 2050. So we have brought it 25 years ahead, and I would say that we are proud of that. But there is another aspect of sustainability that I would like to focus on. As an airport, we are way beyond our role in terms of trying to assist our destination, Athens as a destination. So this journey and this is another aspect of sustainability, okay? Being part of the tourism strategy or being part of the effort to try and reposition your destination as one of the prime destinations worldwide. So this started back in 2011. And I think that most of you remember what was happening in Greece and Athens in 2011. It was a Greek macroeconomic crisis, so Athens was making the news for the world news for all the bad reasons, the wrong reasons. So we felt that we needed to do something about it. So this was the time when we felt that we had to join forces with all the other tourism and aviation stakeholders, trying to incorporate, to include destination marketing strategy in our aeronautical strategy. And this really brought results, and this is where we are at the moment. We are one of the integral parts of the destination marketing and management organization for Athens. With, I would say the results so far are really very good. So I would say that this is also an aspect that we have to look at when we talk about sustainability and about the role of the airports as, you know, gateways to their destination. And I would like to focus also on the communication aspect of the declaration. We've been discussing with Kostas a lot about it, because we are all parts, links of a value chain. We create value, all of us. On our road, we create value for our communities. I mean, locally, regionally, nationally. For instance, Athens International Airport contributes to the Greek GDP by more than 8 billion euros. And when we talk about that, we talk about a contribution to the GDP by 4%, which is tremendous. And hundreds of thousands of jobs if you get of the direct, indirect, induced catalytic impact of our operations. Do people know about it? We try to get it known to the public, I mean, when it comes to Athens International Airport, but is this known to the wider public when it comes to the overall aviation ecosystem? This is something that we've been discussing a lot about it. We consider that, and I think, Kostas, you share the view, and all the members that have signed the declaration for all, the next step should be a practical one, to see how we can create the communication strategy in order for this to be known everywhere. Because we face many challenges. Many people think if we were in the wider public and we asked about the, let's say, the environmental impact of aviation, I don't think that many people would say that this is a single-digit number. They would say double-digit or even more, because they don't know. We have not made it known to the public. We know it among ourselves. We discuss a lot about it. But what about the communication to the wider public? And I think this is an aspect that we have to discuss about the next practical steps about the declaration.
I see. So the next step of what will we do with this declaration, how this becomes more known as an effort, you know?
Well, right now, as Athens International Airport, we are very active on that front. We are trying somehow to create the storyboard and the campaign for this declaration for all. So we have tried also to get all the data that we need from the ACI study that was released rather recently. It was a study that was commissioned by ACI Europe and it was conducted by the University of Amsterdam. So what they try to do, they try to correlate the increase of connectivity, of air connectivity, with the social indicators of the UN, of the United Nations.
Yeah.
I will not bother you with numbers because there are plenty, and I'm very fond of these numbers, you know, reduction of poverty and by 14%, and increase of gender equality by 19%, and so on and so forth. What we are trying and we are working on right now is to try and create a campaign through this data-driven storytelling. So we hope that by June, that Mehmet said we are going to have this Hermes dinner during the ACI Europe conference and General Assembly. We hope that we will have the storyboard, not the campaign yet, but the storyboard, and then we will try to turn it into a campaign. So the next, I think we have to be very practical here in order to reap the benefits of this particular declaration for all.
Thank you. And Philip, if I can come to you regarding the declaration, the items that were under the declaration, can you give us a concrete example? Actually, first of all, what does this mean for Vienna Airport? And if you could give us a concrete example of one of these things becoming a reality of being a...
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's the collaboration is such a lovely word, but we have not really been living up to it as an industry that much in the past years. Some do it stronger, some do it less strong, and I think there needs to be a proper movement in that field again, that we really collect the ideas of each and every partner in order to bring our industry on the next level. And this is something what we certainly try to do in Vienna. We try to not only work with all our partners, obviously what we all do locally at the airport when it comes to border control, when it comes to airlines, when it comes to handling security lanes, air traffic management, you name it. Yeah, there's so many things involved in an airport operation, but sustainability is obviously a big thing for us. We are neutral since 2023, so we've managed that already through a big solar plant with 24 hectares and really delivering a lot of energy for us, and we produce it ourselves, and we even can feed it back into the electricity system. So we are very proud of that. And we are not getting tired about communicating it to the environment and to the surrounding world, because this is, everybody's pinpointing at aviation, and I think we've heard it a couple of times earlier today. It's actually the wrong finger pointing, yeah, because we're doing something good. We're connecting friends, families, businesses, cultures, people. You see, that's what I love about walking through the airport every day, when you see people crying because of joy, crying because they are missing each other when they say goodbye to someone, to the loved ones. And it's our duty and our job as an industry to maintain those emotions, but also somehow to transport them. And also when we thought of how can we make processes a bit more lean and more efficient, so that's why we decided not only to do aircraft handling ourselves, which is not that common anymore in Europe, but also to do the security screening ourselves, which is by far more efficient than I would see it at least many airports, not all. I mean, there's a lot of technology coming into the business, of course, but that facilitates the processes in a more seamless travel journey for our guests. And that is something which is very dear to me from a commercial perspective, of course, because the earlier you are in the terminal building behind the security lanes, the more likely you're to spend money, which we need to make further investments. And this is like really the chain which we can only do together, because the more efficient we get in the processes, the more efficient it will be for our guests to travel through our airport and to travel on air transport rather than rail. Of course, the rail does its own job because they're always late, which is good for us. The roads are congested, which is also good for us, but no one is really talking about it. They accept it. And when I hear the news about German rail that they're trying to get punctual by 2017, 70, yeah? Most of us will not survive that. I probably will not see that moment happen.
I will be 96.
I like the spirit. You will be 96. But this is insane, and so we really try to do our homework. And what is a really central element, at least for me, and what we try to communicate also a lot when it comes to Vienna Airport, is that we are talking more about guests again. You might have realized that when I say guests and not passengers. And believe it or not, it took a year for me after 25 years, or nearly 30 then by now, to start talking about guests and not passengers anymore. Because even if you say you like it, you will always talk about passengers. And I think that shows the clear ambition we should all have is to really listen carefully, all together as an industry, what the needs of our guests are of the future and make traveling more joyful again. So it's all coming back to our earlier discussion. And I think each of us in the industry has a duty to do and a role to play here.
Well, you do say about guests, and I do recall in the declaration there's somewhere where it's mentioned customer-centric approach. I think it's the 4th or 5th bullet point. And I just wanted to ask, before we go back to airports, I'm always curious. An aircraft manufacturer, what does customer-centric mean to you? Who's your customer at the end of the day? Who's your guest?
Well, our customer is the same customer as everyone, is the guest, is the passenger, right? But of course, that's why in our product design, for example, we integrate from the get-go at the airlines in the loop, like understanding their reality, understanding their needs, understanding the potential evolution of those needs, understanding if the product makes economical sense for them, just to be sure that we provide the right product fitting the needs of the reality out there, so which will benefit in the end to the passenger. So yeah, that's how we do. And I can mention that we have like what we call advisory boards during the development of our products, being the E-Jet, being the E2, being the new Energia family coming. I mean, we had already some adjustments to the product from those, let's say, Embraer steel products that we are still having. So yes, it's a journey. It's not.
Sure, but can you give us a more concrete example? I mean, we can understand, like, you're talking about changes for the passenger. Do you have an example in your mind of something either that changed based on customer feedback?
Yes, I think it was.
Somebody was shot.
Yeah. On our newest aircraft, the E2, we brought a mock-up to the Paris Air Show.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest feature in the cabin, benefiting the passengers, are new bins, which have now the capacity to bring bags wheel first. So you basically have one bag per bags capacity on board. And with the first mock-up, we overdid it a little bit, like we maximized the space there, but then the bins came quite low. So we had the feedback from some customers saying, yeah, that looks a bit too claustrophobic, etc. And we found out that we didn't need all the space that was up there. So we adjusted it, and now, I mean, we just got the perfect solution matching the needs of our customers.
Yeah, coming back.
Just by, in a way, listening to them, right?
Yeah.
And but you have to have the right forums to listen to them. That's why we have those advisory boards all along the development of new products that we're doing. So I think that's the core of product development that we have, really to have the customers, being the airlines, which understand the basic needs of their passengers at the center of the development.
Sure. Okay, that's a very nice example, especially cabin luggage, which is the next big thing. But for an airport, Philip, for you, what does guest-centric, what does that mean? Because maybe if guests are only the passengers, what happens with the F&B retailers, with food and beverage retailers? What happens with the...
Well, I think we're in a very lucky position because in Vienna, obviously, there's a lot to play with. Yeah, we call it the golden heritage concept. So the development of the new terminal building will be focused on that. So what does that mean? We have a very strong history in Vienna, of course, as you know, from a cultural perspective. It's gold. It's a lovely atmosphere. It's a bit like here. It reminds me of a Lobmeier crystal vista up there. Yeah, so it feels a bit like home as well. But it's also, especially the F&B part, yeah, you always should try to focus a bit on the strengths you have from a cultural perspective as your destination. So I'll be excited to see tomorrow what it looks like in Athens, because I haven't been for a while. But in Vienna we try, of course, to go for schnitzel. Why shouldn't we? I'm trying to, and that is also about collaboration, trying to don't only try to, I do tours with our F&B operators to vineyards twice a year. First of all, it increases the quality of the discussions you have. Yeah. But also we are bringing local wines to the restaurants. And I said, the Italians mind me for saying this, but I don't want a Pinot Grigio on the menu if Austria is by now a very well recognized country for wine. And I don't want to see 80% international wines in the duty free. I want to see the local wines. But this only happens if you talk to the operators. So what I'm trying to say is we're trying to play a bit with the heritage we have as Austria, as Vienna, trying to bring our guests in a mood where they feel at ease and where they like to consume, and that is our core duty we have, really. It's an impulse-driven business we are having, so it's the job of operations to bring the guests in as quick as possible. It's our job to get the money out of their wallets and to send them with a smile on the aircraft, with enough space in the bin, and off you go. And it's great that they come back, but that only does happen if you create these ideas together. And that's, for me, collaboration is really centric. Without it, it would not work. But that really involves many partners. So we don't have the operations, it's not working. If you're not having airlines agreeing on short notice gate announcement, it won't happen. So it's all about communicating and bringing those things together.
Ioanna, I mean, what is guest-centric? What should Philip expect tomorrow?
Well, Philip should expect what we call Greekness. We are trying, because when the airport was constructed back in from 1996 to 2001, because we started operations, as you know, the Greeks know at least, on March the 29th, 2001. So it was constructed by Hochtief construction company, and it was not at all Greek. And still the buildings and everything, they don't have an element of Greekness, let's say. Probably the next construction, the airport expansion project, tries to remedy that, but this is another story. Now, it's not for tomorrow. Tomorrow, what Philip should expect, however, is to find products and services and food which tries somehow to reflect this Greek identity, because we try to do that via our retail, our F&B, these kinds of products. And this is what we did for our customers or our guests, but I have to say that when we talk about customer-centric, we also talk about our B2B customers, and this is our airlines. This is something which is very important for us. So if we want to somehow instill this Greekness or do other things for our business partners, then we always have to rely on data. So I have to say that we have a very extended, a very sophisticated market survey system on a 24/7, so probably Philipp should expect that someone would come and ask him. We have a questionnaire with PDAs, trying to find out what he really wants from the airport, what are the wants and the needs. So from these market surveys, we try to get all the data that we need in order then to try and cater for their needs. And during last year, we have included another 2 projects. One of them it was a pilot project that we started off with artificial intelligence, trying to, let's say, identify the emotional engagement score during the customer journey, the passenger journey. This was pilot. We found out that it was really very interesting. We had very important findings. And this is something that we are going to do on a permanent basis as of June 2025. And there was also another project which is called iMind. And as a matter of fact, this aimed at engaging all the airport employees. So we tried to get into the shoes of the passengers and trying to have these kinds of inspections once a month or more than once a month on a voluntary basis with a particular platform, custom-made platform that we have created in order to remedy situations at the terminal and trying to give alerts to the technical departments. This was something that worked really very well in order for us to be able to create the ambience that we wanted and trying to correct all the things that probably would go wrong. So what I'm trying to say here is the fact that when we talk about customer-centric, we need to be based on data. At least in our case, this is something that has really resulted, has an outcome which has been very positive throughout the years. So it's what we call capturing the voice of the customer or capturing the voice of the business partner. And this is really important.
So you're not only customer-centric in terms of offering things, but also customer-centric in terms of getting information.
In order to offer things, we need to know which are the needs and the wants of the customers. That's the way that it goes here. Yeah.
And if I may ask, it's a similar question with before, which was about the joy of flying. And whether there is a joy in flying an Embraer as a passenger, or if you want to talk about as a user, as a pilot, but
it's always a joy to fly our product, right? With the newest cabin, but I mean, with the amount of travel I'm doing, I'm blessed enough to have like a good status.
yes.
So yes, it's I don't get the same experience as like any other passengers. So it's true that still enjoy. But what's the most enjoyable thing about flying? Still, it's like to meet new people all the time. I mean, that's what keeps fueling the energy to keep going. Right? So that's the most important to know.
True. Yeah, that's
flying is just a mean to get there, but it's
Good one. Ioanna, the joy of flying, does it exist? Is there a joy?
Absolutely. This is what we get from our market surveys. And this is what we get from the surveys, especially from the younger generations nowadays. I fully what Mr. Nane said, and we talked about it in the previous panel, resonates very well with me and the market survey findings, that especially younger generations, they don't care about brands or assets or other acquisitions. They are gathering experiences. And when you feel that you want to travel because you want to gather experiences, you start from a very positive point in the beginning. But
you're lucky that the young still want to fly here, because in other regions in Europe that's not anymore the case.
This is what we get from our market surveys, but there's another thing here, the fact that the geographical situation of Greece, or the geographical location of Greece. If you are in the center of Europe and you can probably take some other means of transportation and be there in 2 hours, this is completely different. But if you want to travel to Greece, if you want to get to know the country, or people from here want to get to know other countries, you have to fly. Or there are so many islands, there are also certain geographical peculiarities. For instance, so many islands where you cannot really isolate people, they have to fly. For a number of reasons. I mean, not only for the joy of flying and the joy of traveling, but also, for all kinds of different reasons. I mean, health, education, going to the administrative centers of their regions. So flying is absolutely a necessity and a joy at the same time.
But why, William? What do you believe? Is it like
Well, I mean, yeah, especially in Western Europe, I mean, you have, when you talk to the younger generation, I mean, you are more and more exposed, like, to reactions like, yeah, flying, it's polluting, it's like, it's not sustainable, etc., you know, and especially in the 30s, like, between 25, 30 years old nowadays, I mean, I have friends having friends, I mean, they just don't travel anymore. Just because they don't want to have a negative
friends.
Yeah, no, I said friends of a friend, but you know, it's like it's just to say that it's not so far from me. It's a reality. So I think it's also the mindset that those people are, in which they are growing, right? It's they are being brainwashed with so many things, and we have to explain them back, right, that how sustainable the industry is, what was the journey of our industry in terms of sustainability. If you look back to the 90s, like how much we improved already. Yeah, it's phenomenal. So I think it's also educational.
Yeah, that's the thing. When we had last year a physical meeting in Riyadh with Salvatore and Mehmet and the others as were, Angela and so on, what we're saying is that in principle is not what we need to achieve, but we already achieved things, but we're terrible communicating, as we said earlier. We don't need to do something, we've already done things, but we need to find a way to pass the message. Is that with Ioanna we work over the last months to accomplish it, to achieve this all together. Because, you know, as I said earlier, having just the declaration is a nice piece of paper, we put it in the museum, but that's not enough. This is a start, passing the message.
So, Philipp, you're from an airport which is in close demographics, or let's say that William mentioned. Can you do something similar before you tell us also about the joy of flying?
Well, I think that when I listen to that, I mean, I know how it is these days, and the younger generations do not want to travel. It makes me kind of angry. They're lacking so many experiences because they're just caught in their brainwashed scenarios of the pollution of aviation, which is complete nonsense. I wanted to choose a nice word. And I don't get it, yeah, because I mean we're wasting money and infrastructure and destroying forests for new train routes, whatever, and that is all good, and because it's so sustainable. And when you fly these days, it is apparently not, and that is really a problem. And I'm totally with you. I think the problem we are facing in our industry is that we haven't done a lot, but we're not talking about it. It's like in the retail and F&B business, you have too good to go products. You have disposable cutlery, which is by far better than what you find in the city center when they go to Starbucks, whatever. There's so much we can talk about. SAF is coming in. The airlines buy new aircraft, which are so much more developed. And we're just lacking the communication. If you talk Single European Sky, for example, I mean, at the time, in 2012, I was with ACI Europe, being in charge of Single European Sky and the EASA regulation and all these things. And there were so many splendid ideas, but I don't find a lot in the communication these days. Yeah, I mean, I would not know. Did we really increase capacity in the air? Are we more punctual? Yes, we are talking about doubling the amount of aircraft. Where are they going to start and land? This is the message Olivier Janko keeps on banging. Yeah, we're creating capacity in the air. We're creating more sufficient flying, but we don't have the runways on the ground to accommodate that traffic. And this is and if we want to build a new runway, they're all saying, "Oh my God, it's so bad." And if it's cloudy and they don't see the aircraft these days, they say, "Oh, it's a quiet day today." Yeah, if it's sunny and they can see them, it's a different matter. So I guess in Greece this is a lot worse than in Europe because it's more sunny than it is in Vienna.
Yeah, but the good thing in Greece is we don't see aviation as an enemy. Yeah,
Okay.
because the thing is,
Because it's the geographic.
well, you know, I give two examples about aviation. Well, and you know, my favorite case about the trains is Vienna, by the way, and with Salzburg, because this. Anyway, I'll tell after. But the thing is, in Greece, as Ioanna said, 30% of Greek GDP comes from tourism. Then, if we don't have tourism, we don't have revenue. If during the economic crisis, Ioanna said, if we didn't have tourists, we will be bankrupt completely. We were saved by tourists. Then, and the other thing is, many people working in the islands probably never flown in their life, but they make revenue, they live out of aviation.
Yeah, it's a different angle.
And you know, and sorry, I do, to return to about the Vienna, I fly to Vienna, and then I used to go by plane to Salzburg. Then now it's a joke, I did 3 hours. After the flood, took me 5 hours to get there, took forever. And last January, I was taking the train. In the whole wagon, I was the only passenger. Sorry, the power is produced from something, except France, because they have nuclear power. The rest is produced from something. One passenger, there's no load factor based on mathematics.
But you touch a very interesting point, because, I mean, we're dreaming about SAF, hydrogen, whatever. I mean, what you need to produce those is clean energy, which, for example, in Germany is not available. It's by chance available in France because
in
there was
2070, it would be probably.
Yeah, so that's something else, right?
I know. There is no load factor, and then don't monitor it. I cannot say, one in the European Commission will say, when you're going to see what is the efficiency of trains, because there is no load factor. We know in aviation, the airlines, if they don't have a load factor, the model, 90%, 80%, 70%, they are loss making.
Yes.
The trains are doing good.
You know, we had Deutsche Bahn approached us for an efficiency program.
For the
It's a great
2,100.
It's a great contract for the next 5 decades.
It's a lifetime contract.
I would send the whole family to them. The reason why we couldn't, we had an initial discussion, because it was my team that was going to be responsible for this, because we do the infrastructure. In the first meeting, the reason why it simply broke down, before even we were discussing about it, was exactly because we started the discussion by load factors, like we would in an airline. I said, but this does not exist. And then we spent an hour and a half, how come this does not exist? It was in our logic, and I admit it was also in my logic. I was like, it cannot be, okay, you might not know for a specific, but you should know for a route. No, we don't use it. And because, yeah,
Who
so...
cares?
Do they know for the system?
So you could, no, because at the end of the day, there's no record keeping of, so there's no RASK, there's no ASK actually. So they don't have, they don't have available seat kilometers.
But they know how many passengers they transport per year, right?
No, they don't.
Are you joking?
No, the reason, I thought they were.
Probably in the next
The reason
century.
is because you have these Deutsche Bahn cards. So there's a card, for those who don't know, who pay on a yearly, annual basis, and so on, so you don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to give my 2 cents to this discussion. Okay, great. So let's not make this a train bashing.
No, sorry, I just wanted to come back quickly because I didn't answer my question on the joy of flying.
Yes.
And I think this is really where we do need to do more communication about it, yeah. And this is exactly the point, yeah. No one is talking about trains, how crappy they are, and how inefficient they are, but everybody is bashing aviation. And there is times up for a better communication stream in that sense, because if you think about the fact how much money each and every country in Europe is investing in infrastructure, no matter whether on the road or rail, compared to what is invested in the air, it's a joke. Yeah? It's really minimal, and I think we should really bring this on our agenda together.
That's true.
Together, because it won't happen as an airport, it won't happen as an airline, it won't happen as an aircraft manufacturer. In order to keep on telling that story and really finding a communication line which also the dumbest enthusiasts for rail and aviation haters understand how much better it is to use aviation to go from A to B. And this is something we are, from my perspective, that's my personal view, lacking at the moment. We don't have like these 3, 4, 5 bullet points where we say, this is what it's all about. And we keep on bashing on that one and really say aviation is good.
Maybe in part you've answered the question.
And there is one other thing, Ilias, and for all of us. Don't forget, after COVID, they forgot everything about sustainability, everything. Everyone jumped to a plane to go to get back their lives.
Yeah, they were lucky to have them. They wanted to travel.
Then they forgot about sustainability.
And in Europe, they sit there with their orange jackets on the road and they're protesting and oh my god, and the environment. And the next day they fly to Bali with a backpack and their friends.
Yes.
In the
It's
Netherlands,
insane.
just after COVID, there was a Greenpeace activist. They interviewed her on TV, and they asked her like, yeah, she was bashing aviation, etc. They asked her like, what was your last flight? She said, yeah, a month ago. Where to? Bali. So I mean,
Yeah.
So you talked about working together, and I just want to, in order to close this discussion in the next 4 or 5 minutes, I just wanted to ask you, okay, if you had a magic wand, I'm going to start with you, Philipp, right? But I would ask the same question to all of you. You had a magic wand, you could control the aviation system, communication-wise, what would you do? Whether it's a crazy idea, whether it's something that has happened before, or something you've seen. What would be communication-wise that you do?
It's a tough one. Yeah, to put it in one sentence. When we talk about our new development project in Vienna, I have created a hashtag which is called Dreaming Together. And maybe it's about dreaming together to make aviation good again.
Okay. Why not? That's a good idea. Ioanna?
Well, there are no magic wands. Or ones. So I think we're on the right track. I'm a little bit more pragmatist. So I would say that we are now on the right track to create something that would make an impact, that could be heard in a wider scale. And I'm saying that because I'm referring to the campaign that we are now preparing.
Yeah.
It needs to be something that resonates very well with the emotions of people, trying to get them understand what is the value in their everyday life. So I think we need a storyline, which will be interesting, it will be emotional, it will be something creative. So this is what we are trying to do at this stage. We are trying to be based on, and this time I think I will refer to the numbers. So because I will try to explain what I mean. This ACI Europe study, they said that we are going to correlate the UN sustainability goals with connectivity. And we will try to prove that connectivity makes people happy. So connectivity, air connectivity, the increase of air connectivity by 10% has an increase in the GDP per capita, it has an increase in jobs, obviously, but it also aims at, and as a matter of fact it does, it reduces poverty by 14%, it increases gender equality by 19%, it increases educational opportunities by 9%, research and development by 8.5%, and overall the way that the sentiment of living, the well-being, by a little bit more than 1%, 1.2 or 1.6 if I'm not mistaken. So how to put this, all of these together in a campaign, you create a story, probably you find a little one, and you try to make people, to get them to know how the life of this small child has been impacted by aviation in a positive way. This is what I'm trying to say when I talk about the campaign, and this is what we are trying to do at this stage. I think this is vital. Declaration for all is very important because we are all signatories. So, as a matter of fact, we tried to cooperate, all of us, on this front. And this is what we are trying to do right now, to try and improve in a creative way that air connectivity makes people happy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And William, how about you?
I like a lot the hashtag together, and I think it starts there, right? But if I had a magic wand, I think we also missing a bit like ground for you know, like some substance behind. So if I had a magic wand, I would make the single European sky happen tomorrow. That's 10% lower emission from one day to the other. And I would make all airlines change their fleet to newer aircraft. It's good for my business, of course. But today we have only 20% of the old technology aircraft which has been replaced. And for example, with our aircraft is right there available up to 30% lower emissions.
10%.
So 10 plus 30, you know, it's like almost halfway already.
Yes, I can add something to what campaign proposed by Ioanna. The safety issue, that the most safest transportation mean is the airplane. So this is very important because it speaks to the emotional life of the people. To feel safe more than the car, the railways, whatever. So it's very important. So added to the campaign.
That's a very good point. Very good point. Yeah. Thank you. Any other contribution?
Regarding the communication, we were talking about Gen Z, that they are unwillingness to fly because of the emissions, and these are the only potential market that now there are statistics saying that they hold like 420 billion euro potential spending budget. So if we want to communicate, I think we have to have the right tools. So probably this age group has Instagram, Facebook. What else this age group use what? But if you ask the Gen Z, how many of us have like Reddit, Sport, like 14 social media that none of us in our phone, that we have no idea and we don't have. And still, all the airports are communicating through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. But if we want to reach the new generation who has the potential of the spending, and which is our future passenger, so maybe we have to focus on communicating these young generation through these channels, because their communication skills are different, their communication language is different, the emotions they're using are different, and the expectation from the social media is different from our generation. So I think we have to also, when we are talking about communicating them, I think we have to learn their paths, and we have to create now more boxes in our website.
Communication channels.
Yeah.
Yes, and
What's
so
your
we
name,
have to.
right?
For this, again, when we had the meeting in IF, we said it's different to communicate by region also, because the need in Asia is completely different compared to Europe. Then
Different.
sustainability is more European thing, not in Asia. Then there is different dynamics. And as also with Ioanna and with Mehmet, with Salvatore and so on, we discussed that it will be a different way they're going to communicate to the young generation, different middle-aged people like me, and so on. Then we need to find the different channels how we're going to approach it.
And for one more reason, because we want to make aviation attractive to the people again. Because there is this is another issue which is really very important. Younger generations, they don't feel what we faced when we started our careers in aviation. I mean, aviation was fascinating. It was so exciting. This is not the case with the youngest anymore. They don't feel like it anymore.
Yeah.
So this is also something which is very important when it comes to communication.
Great. So,
just a quick one on the together part of your hashtag. We've been talking about together for aviation, but actually it's just part of your road transportation. So I think it should not do that. Together in aviation to make sure that everybody understands that it's good. It's together in the whole transportation industry to make that it's a part of a wide offering with train, road, public transport. Aviation is part of it. So, you know, we have a friend who went to Bali. We don't ask her to take the car or to go to Bali for she wants to go to Bali, she can't go to Bali. And then on the daily basis, she decides not to own a car, go to take the subway or the bus to go to work. If she travels in France, she takes the train because she's conscious about the pollution, but if you want to take a long trip, traveling by plane is an option, which should not be discarded by just pure ideology.
Yeah.
So it's not a question, but more.
Yeah, no, that's, thank you for that. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having such a nice, interactive, engaging discussion. Please, also thank you very much for your contributions, and if I can ask you to join me in thanking our panel members of the discussion.